It is the return of Trader Chat, and we've a lot to get through this week. We just had the draw for the Champions League last 16, so we'll talk about liabilities and how the market is shaping up. Flynn's Arsenal they just keep on doing it, winning away at Chelsea, while Man City absolutely limp to a win over 10-man Fulham. Liverpool got the job done against Spurs. So we've loads to talk about on the football front. On the racing front, we've had the Melbourne Cup, we've had the Breeders' Cup, we've had some amazing jumps racing, or some good jumps racing anyway, both sides of the Irish Sea. We also have the Handy Nap Tipping Comp, which is a lovely idea, which we will talk about as well in due course. We've had a couple of meetings called off, and we've had some small fields, but we've had a lot of action, and we've a lot to get through. Flynn, how are you keeping?
I'm very well, thank you. It was a busy weekend. I was working late on Saturday, started at 2:30 until about 10:30. Came into a buzzing trading room. It was great to be back in kind of that environment, a buzzing trading room. And we had I think I came in just as Frodon was running in the Badger Rails. So it was kind of one of those really fast-paced Saturdays, and then it carried on all into the Breeders' Cup in the evening. I think that's a good place to start the Breeders' Cup, because we saw some performance here, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Sixth and final performance for Flightline. I don't know what to make of this, Flynn. I honestly don't. Sometimes I look at American racing and I'm just like, maybe this is too good to be true. Maybe it isn't. Maybe he is one of the best horses we've ever seen. Whatever you think of him, he's gone to stud. He could command $40 million in his first year. Aidan O'Brien also had a good Breeders' Cup, having 3 winners, as did Charlie Appleby. Had a good Breeders' Cup as well. I wasn't overly immersed in the whole thing this year for some reason. I thought Aidan's horses were sort of run-of-the-mill horses he sent over there that won. He's had an okay year. Hard not to be impressed with Flightline, though. Was it a busy night for the firm?
It was a busy night, actually. We took a very good number of bets. One of our busier days that we've ever done in terms of bet numbers on Saturday. So we'd be very, very happy with that now. With the Breeders' Cup, it's not something I really get into. I tend to work them when I'm here. Obviously, being head of racing, you want to be present for the Breeders' Cup. But I mean, American racing isn't really my thing, and flat racing isn't really either. I prefer the jumps. So the combination of those two, I mean, it's not kind of up there in the upper echelons for me, but I do like obviously seeing good horses and good performances. And just starting with Flightline, probably a little bit too short to lay heavily in respect as punters. You're thinking 3 on or 2 to 5, 4 to 11 is a massive price. But just in terms of the performance, to go the pace with the other pace setter, I think it was Life is Good, wasn't it? And the way that one faded, and Flightline, well, it wasn't even extended really, to go and win by about 10 lengths or so, wasn't it? So, well, it wasn't a bad result for us, but just in terms of the performance, it was really good to see. Dirt racing isn't really my thing. I'm not a massive fan of the dirt kicking back up in the horses' faces and all that type of stuff. I much prefer the turf races over there, just because it's a little bit more normality compared to the races over here. Just been through a couple more of the races, just where there might be a bit more of a European feature or a bit more interest for the viewers. Golden Pal ran no sort of race, did it? Backed into very short favour, around 13 to 8, 6 to 4. Caravel getting the job done there at 50 to 1 was a very good result for us. We also saw a good bit of money for Highfield Princess, even though it's really big over on the American Tote, around 6 to 1 or so. We're around 11 to 4 here. So we saw plenty of money for Highfield Princess, who didn't seem to run her race. Cody's Wish was probably the story of the meeting. Really, really good story around obviously Cody in the Dermar for Godolphin. Did you manage to catch up with this story and how it kind of played out, Johnny?
I didn't. It was my father's birthday on Saturday night, so it was probably one of the lesser Breeders' Cups I've actually watched. Flightline kind of got some of the other races, but I didn't know the Cody's Wish story actually.
Yeah, so I don't know the ins and outs of it, and obviously we didn't have the volume on in the office, but from what I was reading on Twitter, he's obviously got a very severe disability. And I think the horse came over to him in the paddock. I think Godolphin do this kind of scheme where they help underprivileged and disabled youngsters. And Cody's Wish came over to Cody in the field and kept going back to him. So they called him Cody's Wish. I think that's the story. And then he's obviously gone and won the Dermar at the Breeders' Cup. And then Cody's there watching him, and everyone's going over to Cody. And so it was a really, really nice story. Brings a tear to the eyes. So that was good to see, just a different narrative and a different story coming out of the races. A very good performance from Tuesday, I thought, very well backed into 7 to 2 from 11 to 2. If you go back and look at the Oaks form with Nashwa, you can kind of see why this turn in form's happened. Nashwa hasn't faced Tuesday again, I don't think, and Tuesday was about 3 lengths in front in the Oaks, and then was a similar distance in front here. Completely different passages. Holly Doyle had a bit of a torrid time on Nashwa. Nashua would have been the worst result for us. And Tuesday was a small winner, even though it was very well backed in terms of the prices. Excuse me. And then the last one to speak about would be Modern Games, who just seems to love the Breeders' Cup. Got himself out of trouble to win comfortably. And you have to watch the run of Kinross. I think he's going to go back for another try next year. You can see that Rafe Beckett was a little bit miffed by the whole thing and the run that Kinross got. So I think he's a massive, massive improver, Kinross, and it's definitely one to watch next year when he goes back into training. But those were just the races from the Breeders' Cup. That was that side of the pond. But now we'll probably just talk a bit of Downroll, a bit of Doncaster, a bit of Wincanton.
Yeah, I suppose some of the field sizes at Down Royal I thought were quite disappointing. It did have a almost like a British meeting feel to it, but obviously Frodes, as he's otherwise known, got the job done in the Badger Beer. And when Frodon wins now, as he was doing 12 months ago at Down Royal, you're like, oh, how's Bryony going to be after the race? And she may split opinion, but she sure loves Frodon.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, starting with Down Royal, I did notice that little dig at British racing there. It felt like a bog standard British meet.
We did 3-runner bumper. We did 3-runner bumper. Yeah. Like a 5-runner main race. We had small fields with a lot of odds on shots.
There you go, digging at the British racing again. I think touching on some of these short ones from Down Royal. Obviously, we had American Mike come back out. Thoughts on this performance? A bit iffy on the jump in. Took an extra try when he didn't need to. But the engine's clearly there, isn't it?
I spoke to Gavin Cromwell actually about his horse on the Thursday, Thurles, and he'd been off for obviously a long time, but he definitely thinks a lot of him. You think American Mike is sent off, whatever he was, 4 is on, and he's taken on 6 is on while he's taken on. But let's be clear about it, he's a good horse. He hammered him. He beat the rest of them by the guts of 28 lengths. So as much as his jumping wasn't great, I think he's a serious engine. And the way Willie is talking about Facile Vega, I think he probably had an next to hopeless task to face him at all last season. So I think they're trying to avoid him. So if he go, it'll be interesting. They probably have 2 races in mind from in terms of Cheltenham, but he's very good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be keen on him for the Ballymore just because in terms of the pace of jumping, I think if he's allowed a good bit of time, can snuff him up in a big field, which the Albert Bartlett normally is. I think that would probably be the race for him. 5-1 for both of those, for the Ballymore and for the Albert Bartlett. So even though he won at 6 on there, if you wanted to have an investment for Cheltenham, those are the prices for him. Piper's probably another one to talk about, winning at 8 on, very competitive stuff over in Ireland as always. Winning the WKD hurdle there. What do you think of Piper going forward? Do you think he's going to be a top notch, or do you think he's going to be below that top grade?
I don't know. I mean, this was one of these disappointing races in that it looked like he and Fieldor were going to take each other on. This is going to be a hell of a race. He does have a Pied Piper he's quite a flatbred horse. He does have that sort of a flat speed. He jumps well. The horses from 4 to 5 going on to the champion hurdle division. It is very tough for them, but he is very, very smart, and he's probably just developing into a very good herder. And I thought at Cheltenham, I love the way he sort of came back on the bridle up the hill as well. I find it hard to fault him. Like, he's obviously going to have more difficult tasks ahead, and just the 4-year-old going on 5 would be a little bit of a concern for me in terms of the champion hurdle, but he's very good.
Yeah, I agree. He's 16-1 with us for the champion hurdle, so a fairly big price. I just don't think he's done anything visually to get me excited yet. The triumph from last year doesn't really get me excited, and he's just not really done anything where he's caught the eye and gone, oh yeah, that's a top notch. He's always just won by a few lengths, and he's not kind of gone away. And I would expect if he was 8 on there to be going and doing something spectacular and winning by 3 or so lengths. And I know he was going away at the finish, but didn't do anything sensational for me. And then I don't think that's
a bad price for Cheltenham, just to be honest, because Honeysuckle is going to be a year older. Obviously, Constitution Hill, you'd have to fear, but Pied Piper is 4 from 6 over hurdles. He's a very good horse in the flat. He loves Cheltenham, so I think he'll definitely run a good race, and there's no other race he's going to be in.
Yeah, possibly. He'd want quicker ground with me, Pied Piper. So right.
It doesn't rain anymore. It does. It flash floods, but it'll be grand at Cheltenham anyway, probably.
I was saying that he's a one heavy before, so I'm probably just talking rubbish there. So ignore me. Mighty Potter's probably the last one to talk about from this meeting. Again, another short one, winning at 2 to 5. Probably going to be featuring in all the good novice chases, I'd imagine.
Yeah, he was I backed him. He was poor at the first, then he was fine afterwards. He wasn't overly impressive. What did he win by? 3.5 lengths, not fully extended. Mars Harper is no star. Largy debut can burst, but he did the job well, and he jumps quite well.
10-1 for the Arkle for Mighty Potter. So that was Down Royal on Friday. Just touching on a couple more races just from the weekend. Over at Doncaster, we had the November handicap. Went the way of Metier in testing conditions. I think Metier was going off. Was it for a Supreme? He was second in for a Supreme.
He was.
Went off a couple of years ago. He won at 13-2 in the November handicap. We laid Santi Post. We were under it for a while, so not too much damage done there. The gamble of the race was teed up for was it Emmett Mullins coming over?
Yes.
I think it was. Yeah, teed up coming over. Obviously loved the ground. It looked like he was probably going to go and win the race, but ended up finishing second. So we were happy to get that one chinned. Then over at Wincanton, Frodon just goes from strength to strength, just doesn't know when to give up. Frodon just gets into that lovely rhythm out front of Bryony Frost, and what a fantastic performance. Into 16-1 for the King George, was 8-1 with our Santi Post for this race. We actually saw some smart money, I would imagine, when they're seeing all the jockey bookings go up and wasn't going over to your side. So went off 9-4. So those people taking 8-1, obviously very, very happy there. Then just back to Down Royal for a last bit of racing. Envoy Lens obviously back to winning ways at his beloved Down Royal. Very, very well backed too. He seems to be well backed quite a lot these days, Envoy Len. I think he was well backed in the, was it the Champion Chase? He was very well backed in.
He was.
Yeah.
He obviously works very well. And I mean,
that's
nothing new. I thought the gamble was a bit odd. What to make of the race, I don't know. I back Conflated, and I thought Conflated didn't jump that well. He was still sort of on the bridle come the second last. Galvin, funny enough, the replays just come on here as I'm talking to you. Galvin flopped. Kenboy is totally exposed at this stage. So what did he achieve? I don't know, but he now comes into that 3 mile division at the very least. And for all that he's had problems, at least he looks like he's kind of on a good path, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I wouldn't want to be backing him away from Dan Royal at the moment, but it was good to see him back. Like, we were cheering him on in the office, just saying it was really, really good to see him back. And he's certainly a more exciting winner than Galvin. I'm a big fan of Galvin, but Envoy Len was kind of touted to be the next big thing, kind of after Sam Crow had those kind of ambitions and aspirations. So really, really good to see Envoy Len back. And then that was the races from the weekend. So plenty that we've got through there. We've obviously got Cheltenham this week, later on in the week in the racing front. We'll be on the pitch. We've got 1 in Tats and 1 on the rails, so do come and see us. We've got 3 in Tats. So we'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So come see us if you're at Cheltenham. But that was the racing. Probably move on to the Handy Nap Sipping Comp now, which you mentioned towards the top of the show.
Yes, this is a lovely idea, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So Graham Dans, who has passed away since, sadly, from cancer, set up a tipping competition that a lot of the viewers will know about, and probably part of it, for a lot of heritage handicaps throughout the season. It culminated with the November handicap just now. We priced up the league market, so tons and tons of runners, and we were going to donate anything that we made from these markets to Macmillan Cancer Support. We had 2 markets. We had the Cup and we had the League. Across both the markets, we managed to profit 2,800 quid. So we donated that to Macmillan Cancer Support. I know that, obviously it's a good gesture for Graham's family, and there's been so many generous kind of gifts and donations come out of this, not just from us, but from loads of people, which has been very, very good to see. And hopefully Graham leaves a bit of a legacy, and we can keep this competition going. We can keep doing the markets for years and years to come. But just wanted to get out there that obviously we made this from the markets, and that's what we've gone and donated today. And hopefully we can do it again next year.
Yeah, lovely idea, and it's good to see a nice legacy for someone that touched us all, really. Getting on to football, Erling Haaland, this was a strange one on Saturday in the sense that Fulham, I think they might have had a shot on goal in both halves, but they did well against Man City. Man City commit this ridiculous penalty down to 10 men. So you're like, Fulham have a chance here. They bring on Haaland, they bring on De Bruyne, they've goal disallowed. 3 minutes into injury time, it looks like everything's all right. Then Haaland steps up, scrapes the penalty, bleeds over the line. They win, but so do Arsenal. So we have a 2-horse race still in the Premier League.
We do at the moment. It was very, very frustrating a few minutes for an Arsenal fan, I must say, towards the end of that City game. We also do a last person standing in the office. Well, obviously you pick a team every week and you can't use that team again. And I went for Leeds, and nearly the whole office went for Man City. It would have knocked out about 40 people, and it was literally just like heartbreaking. Me and Jordan, who sits next to me, we both had Leeds, so it's heartbreaking. And also, obviously, as an Arsenal fan, but the City are 5 on for the league. Arsenal are 9-2, so taking up most of the margin between both of them there. Then you're 40-1 Newcastle, bloody hell, 3rd in Newcastle, and then you're 50 bar Liverpool 50. So obviously rumours about FSG potentially selling Liverpool today as well. So
Indeed.
Liverpool could be on the market. In terms of relegation odds as well, just talking about towards the bottom of the table, 2-5 Forest, 1-2 Bournemouth, 5-4 Wolves. Southampton, who look like they're going to be appointing Nathan Jones from Luton, is 13-8. Hasenhuttl obviously went earlier today. And then you're 11-4 Everton and 4-1 Leeds. So that's how we shape up in terms of the Premier League. What I do want to touch on, if I can just find the market somewhere here, is the European tournaments, purely because we've had the draws today for the Champions League and we've had the draws for the Europa League for the knockout games for the playoffs. So just touching on the Champions League, we've had Man City shorten up considerably after getting a decent draw. They're into 13-8 from around 15-8, 2-1. Bayern Munich are out to 6-1 because Bayern Munich, I believe, are playing PSG. PSG also out to 8-1. Then you've got Liverpool versus Real Madrid. What a tie that'll be. Liverpool are in there at 9-1, then Real Madrid at 11 with Napoli. So that's how we look on the Champions League front. And then the Europa League, Arsenal shortened up a little bit into 4-1 because it's going to be Barcelona versus Man U.
Indeed.
Barcelona are 9-2, Man United 8-1, then you're 12-1 Bar. So kind of all shaping up in terms of Europe. It's all happening so quickly this year because we'll be on to the World Cup. I think we need to talk a bit of World Cup, Johnny, because we are getting ever so close. Should we talk squads first? We haven't actually got it up just at the moment because we're so close to squad announcement, but we've got a few fringe players. If I just call out their names, do you think they go or not?
Go ahead.
Well versed in England stuff? Here we go. So let's think. Does Trent go?
I would imagine he does without starting. I watched him yesterday. I mean, he does so many amazing things, but even still this season he's giving the ball away a lot in silly situations. I imagine he goes, but I can see the argument both ways.
Yeah, I think if Walker or James fit, or if they're both fit, Ben White will go, Trippier will go, and if the other two are fit, I don't think he does go because I don't think the Gareth will play him. I don't think he'll trust him, which I think is fair enough. Gary Neville was talking about in tournament football, you can win or lose games in moments, and you can just imagine that Trent having one of these moments and having a howler, a little bit like he was having yesterday, could have given the penalty away. Van Dijk was shouting at him towards the end of the game because he was out of position down the right-hand side. So I'm just not sure whether he'll go. Maddison's the other one. It's a bit of a weird one. He's got all the stats. I think he's got like 30 goal contributions or something like that. So he's got all the stats, but it doesn't seem to be one of Gareth's favourites, does it?
No, and I don't know. Where do you see him sort of fitting in that system if he's kind of involved as well?
Well, he can only play in the whole, can't he? I think that people forget, like when I saw Jamie Redknapp and Graham Souness last night saying he has to go, he has to go. It's like, yeah, but you realise if he has to go, someone has to not go.
Yeah.
And somebody has to stay at home as well. But they're not willing to say, well, he should go instead of him. They're just willing to go, he should go, because it's just the easy thing to say. I think in terms of a starting lineup, I think he'll go 4 at the back again in the so-called easier fixtures, and then I think he'll probably play the boring 5 at the back for the harder ones. I think your front 3 are pretty solid. It will be Saka, Kane, Sterling, possibly with Mount behind, maybe Foden in behind sometimes. Then you have Bellingham and Rice holding. Bellingham a bit more forward than Rice, and then your back 4, I think, will be Trippier. I think it will be Dyer and Stones. I think it should probably be Stones and White, but I think it'll be Dyer and Stones, and then he'll play Shaw at left back, and then Pickford in goal. So that's what I kind of view the team to be. Just in terms of how the outrights are shaping up, Brazil 4-1, Argentina 6-1. They're the shortness in the market. France 6, England with top price 9-1 England. So that's one of our offers. Also have an outright bet. I think it's up to 50 quid. And if your team goes out for the quarters, you'll get your money back as a free bet. So do check out this outright market. Yeah, it's a decent little offer and gives you a bit of interest, and then maybe a free bet to go again if you wanted to later on. So Spain are 9-1, then Germany are 10. We've got to reach the finals, name the finalists. We've also got all the group winners. We'll be starting to go up with some other funky markets. Just having a look here. We've got top Premier League goal scorer, which is a bit of an interesting market to have up. You've got Kane at 9-4, Ronaldo 7-1, Jesus 11-1, Richarlison 12, and then your 18 bar. We've got loads of other markets to go up. We'll have the top team goal scorers go up at some point. We've also got top goal scorer, golden ball winner, golden glove, so on. So those markers will keep popping up. So keep checking them day by day. I know Rory and the film team have been working hard to get these World Cup markets going.
I think that's pretty much our lot, Flynn.
think so. I might just read out the cricket very, very quickly.
Absolutely.
Because obviously we are in the semi-final territory, aren't we? For the
Once Ireland were knocked out, I lost interest, you know.
Well, yeah, that was very early on, though, wasn't it? So looking to win the thing outright. India 11-5, England are 9-4, New Zealand 3-1, and 130 Pakistan. We've still got top tournament batsmen in there. There's still plenty of runners in this, to be fair. 8-13, Kohli. Yadav is 15-8. Phillips is 9-2. Hale's 20-1. Butler 22, and then 40 bar. We've got top England batsmen, top India batsmen, top New Zealand batsmen, so on, so on, so on. So plenty of markets to be getting involved in there. The next semi-final, the first semi-final is on the 9th, which is in 2 days' time. And then India versus England, which is very, very tight. 4-5 plays even money England at the moment. That is at 8 in the morning on the 10th, which is, when's the 10th? Which is on Thursday. So, and then obviously I think the final will be at the weekend. So we've got plenty of sport this week. Obviously we've got Cheltenham, we've got the cricket, we've got loads of football going on. This midweek, I think it's, is it League Cup or FA Cup in the week, and then on to Premier League at the weekend again. So it's pretty relentless at the moment.
It's relentless, yeah. It's all to satisfy the demand for a World Cup in winter, because Qatar threw money at the situation, and now we have a World Cup that is basically completely tainted. And I think it'll be tainted throughout, even though Gary Neville may not agree, as you found out on Have I Got News For You. I hope that was just absolute cringe. I hope this wasn't cringe for you. On this occasion, that was Johnny Ward and Flynn Goward with Trader Chat. We shall be back next week.